I've made several videos about the topic marker already. In fact, this is a very common topic, and you'll find dozens or hundreds of videos about this on YouTube if you just search. The purpose of this video is to provide one more way to understand actually when you should use the topic marker. Because even if you fully understand exactly what the topic marker does and how to use it, that doesn't necessarily mean that you'll know how to feel when you should use the topic marker. And that's what this video is about. So we're going to be talking about the actual feeling of the topic marker. For a really quick review, the topic marker, of course, marks the topic of what it is you're talking about, the topic of your conversation. So imagine that you're having a conversation, and above your conversation, floating in the air, is a sign, and written on that sign is the topic, whatever you're talking about. So if you were to use a topic marker, 저는, well, now the sign will say 저, we're talking about me. So that's kind of the purpose of the topic marker. This can translate to as for, or when it comes to, or let's talk about this now. And because the topic marker changes your conversation, it's useful in this way to give contrast to your sentence. But this contrast is actually, it's not a grammatical thing, it's more of a nuance, it's a feeling, and that's what we're going to understand today. What does the topic marker feel like? I've thought about this a lot, and while it's not perfect, I do think that this pretty closely captures the feeling of the topic marker. Here are two sentences to show you what I mean. 저는 빌리예요 and 제가 빌리예요. Both of these can of course translate to I'm Billy. Now we learned the topic marker is used for introducing new topics, so you could also translate this sentence as for me, I'm Billy. Kind of has that contrast. That's great, and it makes sense when you're translating it, but then how can we actually feel the difference between these two? How can we know when to use the topic marker by feeling alone? Bear with me for a second. I'm gonna translate this kind of more how it actually feels in Korean. 저는 빌리예요. I'm Billy. In many cases, the feeling of the topic marker is like you're raising your hand up and your intonation in order to emphasize a word. So not just I, but I'm. And let's think about what this motion does in English. Well, we can do this in English if we want to bring up a new topic, like, hey, well, how about that? Or if we just want to emphasize something like, well, I'm not hungry, or something like that. For example, there could be a bunch of fruit laid out on the table and someone asks you if it's okay that they eat it. You could reply, 파인애플은 먹어도 돼요. And although it could translate just as for the pineapples, you can eat that, the feeling we get from this sentence is actually more like, the pineapples are okay to eat. You can eat the pineapples. Versus just saying this sentence with only the object marker and it wouldn't add any of that extra emphasis. So let's think about that a little bit more. In English, what would it mean if you were to say, you can eat the pineapple? Well, you would say that if you wanted to emphasize the pineapple, right? You wanted to kind of introduce it and make contrast with the other fruit. So it's okay to eat the pineapple, I'm saying, but it implies probably not the other fruit. So it's used to show contrast, and that feeling that you get is very similar in Korean when you use the topic marker. So if you're speaking Korean and you're wondering, should I use the topic marker or the subject marker? Think for a bit. Is that the kind of nuance that you want? A lot of times it will be. If there is no other topic that's relating to what you're saying, you would want to introduce a new topic with like, well, the pineapples are okay to eat. If you're already talking about something, however, and you don't want to emphasize anything specifically, well, then you don't need to use it. And remember, this doesn't contradict anything you've already learned about the topic marker. In fact, we know the topic marker is like changing the sign on a conversation. It can introduce new topics, and by doing that can show contrast. And this is similar to the kind of feeling that you also get, as I've shown here, when you use the topic marker. Now, again, we're talking about the feeling of the topic marker today, not just the meaning. So let's talk about these two again, 저는 and 제가. In any sentence, they can both be grammatically correct, but one of them will sound more natural than the other depending on how it's being used. For example, 저는 I versus 제가 I. This one is of course used for introducing a new topic. So as for me, let's talk about me. Well, here's a question then. Which one of these would you start your sentence with if someone asked, "Who ate my pineapple?" and you wanted to reply, "I ate your pineapple"? Would you want to say, "I ate your pineapple, let's talk about me"? Or would you just want to say, "I ate your pineapple"? Yeah, you would use 제가 먹었어요. So I ate it. What if it wasn't you who ate the pineapple and you wanted to say it wasn't me? Well, yes, then you would use 저는 because you want that added as for me, like it wasn't me, but it was someone else. 저는 아니에요. It's not me versus 제가 아니에요. It's not me. Both of them are correct, but if you want that added nuance, as in it's not me, well then you would use 저는. Now, this is a bit of an oversimplification, of course, and you're not going to be able to master when to use the topic marker only by watching this video alone. Ultimately, you're going to need a lot of time and practice and exposure to the language in order to really understand how this feels and when you should use it and when you shouldn't use it. But the next time that you're wondering whether you should use the topic marker or the subject marker, try this. So, are there any other good ways to explain the topic marker? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again next time. 그럼 다음에 또 봐.